Welcome to the Red Line Podcast, featuring co-presenters Paul, the Banksy of LinkedIn and founder at Javelin Content Management, Shane, CEO at Sales Driven, and Antoine, co-founder at Sales Driven, and master of storytelling. Each week, we will bring you advice, tips and thoughts about sales, leadership, and share our experience on growing an effective business. Meet guests, enjoy the stories, and most importantly, have fun. This is Red Line.
Welcome to the second episode of Red Line Podcast, everyone. And thanks very much for coming along and joining the show. Say hi, guys.
Hey, what's happening?
Raise the roof.
Well, just before we get started on today's show, I just want to say a massive thank you to everyone who's kind of been on the YouTube channel, subscribed, viewed the videos, commented on the LinkedIn posts and gotten involved in some way in promoting the show. And we've had an absolutely phenomenal response, and we haven't even released episode 1 officially yet. So really, really appreciate your time and effort in getting that done. It's gonna be an amazing set of events. What we've got planned, we've got some. Even I do it. We've got lined up for the show. We're absolutely going to smash it out the park. But kind of going back to what we said in show 1, if this is your first listening of the podcast, why haven't you listened to episode 1? Started episode 1, lunatic. But secondly, we want to help people. That's what this is about. It's about helping you create a business that can grow, can scale. Shane's talked last week about businesses, turning over £500,000 to £1 million a year. That's where we want to kind of help you get to, or beyond that. But the subject we're going to talk about to help you get there is around why sales is broken, what the future of sales is, how we're going to get there, and all of the mistakes and learnings that we've made ourselves that have got us to the point where we can offer some sort of support in terms of how you get there. Anybody watched this week's episode will realize that Antoine was missing. Antoine, I believe it's you've got some event that's about to happen very soon that might mean that you're a very sporadic guest in the early days of this podcast. Do you want to do a brief intro of yourself, man?
Thanks, Paul. So I'm Antoine, which is one half of the Sales Driven partnership with Shane. I'm a career sales guy. I started selling back in I think it was about 14, 15. When I was at school, I was selling candies out my locker, cigarettes as well. Obviously, that wasn't. It was the cheeky deal, right? 1 for 60p, 2 for £1. So I used to have my own shop. And then that went on to selling mobile phones in school as well. So I was the go-to guy for getting the latest handsets. And I had partnership with the guy down in exam at his own mobile phone shop. And I've just always been a seller, really. And I think it was even noted in my high school leavers book that I was going to be the person that would go on to have a kind of a catalogue of mobile phone shops, second-hand mobile phone shops, should I add as well. So definitely always been in my blood. And then went to university, didn't get on so well with uni, didn't like that whole kind of environment of academia. I preferred to be out and actually learning and doing things. And then I got a break selling for a company straight out of university. Very, very dodgy, but I learned a lot in a very short space of time. It was one of those kind of like group offerings where you all join together, 20 of you, and then they sacked 15 of you in the first week. So I made the cut, managed to kind of perfect my craft there, able to get money off of people on a cold call through £295 on a credit card. After realizing that they were crooks because they didn't pay me, went into event sales and working in a company based in London, and really my career kind of took off from there, and met a lot of amazing people, a lot of amazing mentors that's still in my life today. Obviously fast forward kind of 17 years now, and I'm looking to help a lot of people do the same. And in terms of family, I've got a little boy and I've got a little girl on the way. She's due tomorrow. So that's going to be interesting. But these are the things that drive me and just keep me aiming for higher heights. So I don't know if that's a bit too long of an intro, but hopefully here to help people in a similar position do exactly the same.
Perfect, man. And what your listeners to the podcast missed was Antoine just going into the other room just to tell his missus, "You're going to have the baby. Can you just make sure it's not in the next half hour, please?"
And I'm in the wall break now.
Yeah, guys, I'll be having the same conversation in August because my second son is due in August. So like middle of August, we're going to have the same sort of situation. Paul's going to be appearing on my podcast with like bags under his eyes. Run out and be all things to all people. It's going to be fun. Who wants a boring life, right?
Exactly that.
Man, I have one coming too. So let's see how that goes. I got another one coming in December. So real people with real life problems, right? That's what we're going to be addressing. That's how it is.
Intro, Antoine. And if you want to hear a dodgy sales story of mine, I left university. I've passed university. I originally went in to do website development, but didn't get website development courses like, what was it, 20, I don't admit to it, 20 years ago. So I did software engineering, absolutely hated it. Passed because I had some friends who were very good at programming who helped me a bit. And then came out right in the middle of the economic downturn and the dot-com bubble had just burst. So I was like, right, what can I do? And I went and sold kitchens. Well, I tried to sell kitchens. Unlike Antoine, I wasn't successful because I found that like selling kitchens, it's got a prerequisite to be able to lie well. And I couldn't lie well. I couldn't sell £6,000 kitchens were actually worth £6,000 when they're actually only retail at like 1,500 quid or something. I remember going around having the sample kitchens in the back of my car, kind of going around to people's houses up in Newcastle area and stuff and turning up and, here's the quality of the bill that you're getting. I mean, it's the same as what you're getting B&Q down the road, but we're going to sell you it's a German. They look good. And I've turned up that the hilarious part of this story is at the time, I was going through a divorce. Like just out of university, I was getting divorced at 21. I've been there. I've done everything, guys. I've got a certificate. Right? So I was driving about in the car that I'd bought with my divorce money, which was the car that my ex-wife had always wanted to have, which was a Peugeot 206 in silver with vinyls down as my body kit on, selling kitchens. Honestly. 6 weeks later, I left. I hadn't made a single sale. I was like, this is not for me. Can I go and join a call center?
No.
I think this is going to be a very, very colorful podcast. 100%. I think all of us have got a very, very interesting story. Literally, you got brown, white, and black. All we need is a few others on the call and we'll be fucking loving it, right? Lovely jubbly. So I think today we wanted to speak about a few things. And last week it was mainly about being unique, standing out through personalities, and a number of other variables that coincide with selling and becoming a good, successful seller in today's market. And I think, Paul, you touched on something that has been quite relevant to most of the sales community right now, and it's email and cold email. And to be honest, email has been the biggest challenge for sales driven. Since we started, we were very, very heavily dependent on the phone. We were heavily dependent on cold calling because that's where myself and Antoine, that's actually where I started my career too. Is Antoine was the guy on the other side. I just started my role. Antoine was the other guy and he was always training people. And I was like, who is this guy? And then eventually I started seeing him on the the scoreboard. He was always at the top of the scoreboard. And then there was these CEO quarterly dinners and he would always be invited to them. I'd be like, what is this guy doing? And asking him about his techniques and stuff. It was all about angles and just a different perspective again, a different perspective on how somebody else approached sales. And then eventually I got to a position where I was at those dinners with him. Fast forward from there, myself and Antoine teamed up, which is why we're here together, and we built a business and we've scaled it to 500,000 in our second year from just the phone. Literally just cold calling, relationships, cold emailing, cold LinkedIn people, And we built a network of people that trusted us and saw that we're about it, right? We're not any bullshit people. We talk the talk and we walk the walk. We make shit happen. But coming to 2023, there is an entire new arena of stuff that's happening. And one of those highlights is cold calling dead or is cold email dead? And I don't really know. I've never really been good at it. So this weekend, Paul put together an entire business website, email, landing pages, lead capture forms, SPF, DKIM, all kinds of stuff. Literally in 24 hours. Like, how the fuck does this guy do this? How the hell did this guy do this? And it's because he has knowledge in the space. And if anybody is trying to look at email and bring email into their business as part of their outreach, as a part of their game plan, I think, Paul, getting a bit of insight from you on why that is particularly broken or there's problems with it. What do you think you would say to those newbies? Even me and Antoine are part of that category, a part of that club. What would you say to those people that are trying to get into it? What's the first mistake that they should be aware of not to make?
What I'm going to call out here, guys, is like my knowledge isn't just my experience. It's based on like the shared knowledge of so many other fantastic people who've been kind enough to share some insights from inside the industry whilst we've been networking with the people. So, you know, I'll probably do some shout outs when I put this out on LinkedIn, but you know who you are when I'm saying this. But I think the primary problem that most businesses have right now is the email inbox, is sending from your business domain. Like everybody in their door, set up a business, you've got your email accounts, you send from those email accounts, and eventually you decide that you want to go a little bit more volume and you want to stop sending just individual cold emails and you want to send to a list or you want to get a sequencer involved. And quite honestly, the moment you do that, you need to be on a different domain, because as soon as you start sending any number of volume, you put your entire main domain at risk. And imagine the impact of you sending an email and it being marked as spam when you're actually just sending it to a client that you were talking to last week. And I've seen this happen. We managed to get our whole main domain blacklisted for a short period of time. Luckily, we managed to bring it back to the brink. But that causes two problems, right? So you can go the route of fixing that by getting multiple other domains warmed up and firing across multiple campaigns, which is fine if you're a small business. But you can't do that when you're a big business. Big business, it just doesn't work. By the time you get cyber security involved, get your CIO involved, you get your CTO involved, you get the entire IT team who don't see the value in what you're trying to do, by the way. You'll not convince them that what you're doing is important. Even if you do get the budget signed off, there's so many hurdles to jump through. Legal will have your life, procurement will have your life, IT will have your life. So then the question becomes, do you go rogue and risk your career by setting them up yourself, which is what some salespeople are doing, setting up their own domains to sell on behalf of their business without sanction, just to bypass the spam filters, because spam filters are getting better. Wow. We've got ChatGPT, we've got generative AI, we've got conversational AI. It's not just for creating content, it's for spotting spam as well. And there's lots of other smart ways that the big companies are getting onto this now. So staying out of that spam box is just harder than it's ever been. And it's just, for a lot of businesses, repetitive sales, emails, outreach just isn't possible anymore. I don't think.
Antoine, what do you think about that, considering you're a chief sales officer and you get tons of emails from sales guys trying to sell to you now? So what's your opinion on receiving these emails from, I get a ton from software developers, Sales Loft even tries to hit me up and they're supposed to know what the hell they're doing. You don't, by the way, if you're hearing this. But Antoine, what's your opinion? What's your take on this?
I mean, I'll go out on a limb to say that the people that shout that cold emails are there, you have exactly the same type of people from different perspectives saying that cold calling's dead, right? And that comes down to, in my inbox, it's noise and it's nonsense and it's not relevant and it's annoying and it's very just general title. Quick question, Antoine. If I highlighted the amount of emails in my inbox that said quick question, Antoine, like, all of them are sales emails straight away, cold emails straight away. If you go into the detail, because I'll read them to understand why people think that these types of emails work. And it's the not just the lack of personalization, but it's more about just the same language. It's the shouting about themselves. It's the, we do this, we can help you. I don't know, we can help you win another 85 clients this month and do £350,000 recurring every single month. I feel like half the time they're saying that they're targeting me, but they don't even know what the company does. So it's completely irrelevant in that sense. They're using crazy complicated language in their emails. So it's like, you want me to read this, but this is not even something that I can get past the first 2 lines with, right? And then who's it coming from? Like, you look at the email address and it's, whatever the name is at YJX something hotmail.com. And it's like, this makes absolutely zero sense. And so it's almost like, okay, it's that whole spray and pray approach, right? It's just, I'm just going to cast the net and see whatever I can get. And that for me straight away it's a reason to block somebody, right? It's a reason to say that this is spam. I don't ever want to see this in my inbox again. And I know that for the best part of it, a lot of people, a lot of SDRs that are using this approach are just trying to do their job. So for the most part, I'll just say, listen, this isn't for me. You're targeting the wrong person. And I will just ask them to remove me from the list or unsubscribe if there's a link. But you'll find now that a lot of the time people don't include unsubscribe links, right? So you have to respond in order to come off the list, which is also annoying. But, at the same time, I think there's just very poor targeting, and it comes from the fact that everybody wants to just cast them far and wide. Let's see, it's a numbers game. Let's see who we can get in, and then at least we can go from there. And I think that that comes from pressure from the top. There's a lack of time given to projects. Yep. So people just say, all right, I don't have time to personalize this. I don't have the time to be more strategic in my approach. I just need to find anybody within this kind of segment, and I'm just going to get those emails out to as many people as possible. It doesn't really matter about the messaging. It just needs to kind of have something in there that they might look at, and then let's see if they come back. And that's hurting domains. It's hurting quotas. It's hurting the morale of the people that are sending them out. And it absolutely, for me as well, damages the credibility of the brand.
Some don't even know any better. I've hired people, and they do the exact same thing. Oh, I could send 800 emails a month. And they truly believe that just by doing that, it's gonna look, at least we'll get 1 or 2. And like I said, they don't know no better. So if they don't know no better, how can they get better? How can they get educated? In your opinion, Paul, where have you got the most value in terms of education in learning how to send the right cold email, how to set it up? Because I think it's more management of the domain than it is actually sending the email.
Yeah, so I think job 1 is land yourself in the inbox. Otherwise, Antoine's not even going to read your email to see how shit you are, right? So message 1 is get in the inbox in the first place. You laugh, but I see big companies like Salesforce that you mentioned before, who landed in my spam. First time they've hit me up and they're landing in spam. So I reckon it's 3 or 4 times as hard for a big business to get in my inbox as it is a small business on called DNS setup. It's not rocket science to do. Hands on heart, it's not rocket science to do, but gone are the days where you can just set something up really quickly, put it on a warm up, and then start sending emails on week 3. And yeah, you can do that, but it's not going to last very long because you've not got everything else considered. You need to have, I've seen guys out there who've got 10 different domains on the go at any one time with 3 or 4 accounts on each, sending no more than 40 emails, right? That's the gold standard that these guys live by. 40 emails per account per day. And you can send a large chunk of emails across that. But then to your point, Antoine, it's not personalized. So at that point, you're kind of, you've gotten the inbox, but to what point, what effect? So it's that balance between how do we increase the volume, but keep it personal and relevant at the same time. And I think that's the bit everybody forgets. So you've got to do your homework to get your emails, your domains set up right in the first place. I've seen people automating that. There's guys in the groups who are writing Google Sheets and make processes and things like that, and all that sort of stuff to manage domain DNS settings automated, which is fine. That's great. Brilliant. If you've got the resources internally to do that. The problem that we're facing, Shane, is that a lot of the businesses that we're talking to are growing businesses, right? You're pre-Series A usually, and you're wearing 8 hats at once because you don't have an SDRT. You're where I was.
Yeah.
You're a single salesperson in a SaaS business or whatever, and you're trying to reach. You're trying to grow that pipeline, and there's probably nobody there to call on to ask for advice on what's best practice. You just make it up. All the people are sending thousands of emails. I'm sending thousands of emails. It must work somewhere.
Well, look, so in terms of that, they've got then tools and softwares that has come out like your Smart Lead, your Instant Leads, Lemlist. Obviously, they blew up massively from cold email, but even now, I've seen they've changed the whole interface. The user experience is completely different. Apparently, I don't know if we could say this, but apparently the tool has lost an incredible amount of value. Then we were looking at Instantly also, we went into that platform and we've hired a very, very experienced data operations manager. She's so smart. And she goes, look, Shane, you've got these tools over here and they're £79 per user and per seat. But because they offer this much value, this is why they're there. But if we go to Instantly, for example, they got unlimited seats, unlimited warm up, unlimited everything, but it's 79. She says, don't you think why it's 79? There's obviously something on the back end that is a mistake or is a problem or they don't have yet. That can also coincide with support. I didn't have any idea about this, but she spent 12 hours with support trying to find out how that works, how the system operates well. And because of that, I've partnered actually, and we'll be speaking about this over the next few weeks. And myself and Antoine will mention this, but there's an opportunity, a secret opportunity that's about to come out that addresses this problem. And to address that problem, it will be basically a plug and play platform that can send cold emails where you upload your domain or whatever email it is. It handles all of the filters. It handles all of the infrastructure. Load up your data and you just push go. So that will be coming out very soon. And it'd be interesting to hear the opinions on that. Because if people can plug and play those platforms at a very fair cost, they should be able to achieve the goal of getting those emails in those inboxes and getting the responses they want. Now, where does it go after this, Paul? Where does it go after this in terms of cold email? What's the next step of cold email for the sales community? What happens next?
Well, I think, again, it goes back to what Antoine was saying, right? Everybody's trying to personalize at scale. So now that you've got ChatGPT, everybody's going to start sending ChatGPT emails. And the real differentiators are going to be the people that put the time in and learn how to use that tool. Because I think if you can use something like GPT to help you finesse an email and get to a base point, you absolutely should be doing that because it'll spot things that you as a human don't. You should absolutely be using that. But the skill will now start to change from how can I write an email? How can I research a human? And where do I find all the research from? Which is the bit that everybody's trying to avoid. Will then become, I'm just going to write a quick and dirty ChatGPT prompt and output something that looks incredibly ChatGPT like, which to anybody who uses it any amount of time, they're going to spot that a mile off. Antoine, is that something to agree with that?
Yeah, I think there's a what you say holds a lot of weight. And I think that this is also where a lot of people are going to come unstuck. You see this on LinkedIn, right? People saying that, oh, AI is going to take our jobs, or, if you're not using AI, then you're going to get left behind. I think where the perfect balance comes in is that you're going to start to see these emails populate your inbox, and they are all going to look very samey because the idea is coming from ChatGPT. If you are using your knowledge and then having ChatGPT to actually enhance your message and give you something to kind of stand out, give you a unique point within your message that then drives home either that pain or that problem or that challenge in a slightly different way, those are the ones that are going to cut through the rest of the noise. And so what I was saying before in terms of getting those emails through, and most of them, 99% of them are garbage, right? The ones that do come through that are good, I save those, right? Because I might not need it right now. They might have come through with a relevant message, just on a relevant topic. It's been well written. I'm keeping that person top of mind when it comes to either whatever service that they were pushing to me at the time or whatever solution that they were pushing to me at the time, because that I can appreciate. I can appreciate a good message. I can appreciate a consistency in that message, that they've taken time to actually develop that message and send it to me. And I think that it's the same for a lot of these different channels that we use. It's not that cold calling is bad. It's just that you get bad cold calls, right?
Yeah,
When
and
you
you're
get
shit
good
at
cold, you're appreciative of it. Not the fact that somebody sounds credible, sounds great. They've put something in front of you where it's an actual problem. It's made you say, okay, I wasn't expecting a cold call today, but this is something that's drawn me in. And that's the same with the power of a really good cold email.
Yeah.
So I think, it's people they can get lost in the chat GPT-3 argument, and that's all well and good. It's going to separate the also rans or the mediocre from those who are great. And it's going to push those who are very, very good into being the top 1%. And I think that that's a good thing for sales, because it's going to weed out a lot of the people in the industry that aren't very good, that are just kind of just doing the job for the sake of doing the job and just doing the outreach for the sake of doing the outreach, rather than actually the thought that goes behind it as to, what am I trying to achieve by contacting this person? What kind of experience do I want them to have? How do I want them to feel when this email lands in their inbox? And those are a lot of the human elements that are missing from the automated outreach and just, writing a chat GPT-3 message and sending it to loads and loads of people.
Okay. The other thing I was going to say was, guys, if you're measuring open rate on your emails, just turn it off, because it's hindering your ability to get in the inbox. There's so many things have changed in the world of email over the last year, actually the last 6 months. And just the impact of Apple's privacy security features now showing everything is being open. Your open rate is irrelevant anymore. So by all means, set it on the beginning of your campaign send to make sure that your emails are going out, and then just turn it off, because it's not helping you in the slightest. In fact, the emails that are performing best right now don't have HTML, they don't have links, they don't have emails, signatures, they don't have images, they don't have videos, they are just text messages. Like Antoine says, it's a human into a human. Just do that, and that's your starting point. Shane.
One question I wanted to ask then is, because I'm new to this, I'm very new to this, I'm very curious, but what is the right number then? What is the right number of emails? Let's say you work at a company and you do have to do it yourself. What is the right number of emails you should send in a month? Because we all know the daily rates. So let's just look at it from a month. And if you look at that volume in terms of a month, how many people should you realistically go after then? If you're targeting, let's say I was doing oil and gas service companies that are targeting international oil operating companies that do hundreds of billions of dollars, right? But the engineers, the VPs of engineers, some of the VPs of marketing, demand generation, field marketing, I was always confused on how many I had to send, because I would just call and send email, call and send email, call and send. What do you think, Paul, is the right amount to the audience of emails to send, and to how many people?
There isn't one. There isn't one. You've got to
So what if they send 1 million? So can they send 1 million?
Well, if you can send 1 million personalized emails in a month, boom, then you're going to make a fortune. But you can't only send as many emails as you can send. You can only send as many personalized emails as you can send. Otherwise, you get into volume production. The point of the matter is, if you've got a transactional sale that is something that somebody's going to take off your hands, and it's a one-time fee or it's a low monthly fee, then you can probably get away with a much higher volume, because you need to personalize a lot less. Because for those sorts of things, there's probably a much higher need for it, right? If you're selling into a really niche ICP, ideal client, or if you've got, a high ticket SaaS product that you're trying to sell, the likelihood is you need to put more time into those emails to send them. So it's going to take you longer to do your research and hit the pain points. So you're going to send less. But realistically, the answer is however many you can send without taking the piss.
Just to add to that, it comes down to an element of how much you know about who you're prospecting into, how much you know about the company that you're prospecting into. Most companies now are dealing with the fact that you're not emailing one person, you're emailing an account, people full of different personalities with different interests. And if you're trying to tie those different interests into a relevant email, then it's going to take you time. It might take you 10, 15, 20 minutes to write a personalized email. Now, there isn't anybody, maybe AI right now, but that can't do it to the same in terms of personalized for every single person in that respect. Well, that gives you 4 emails an hour. Do you want your sales guys just writing emails 8 hours every single day? Right? It's not something that's really scalable. I think in terms of, what he's saying there, it comes down to how many you can send, where you're staying at the top of your game and you're keeping that content real. You're making it easy for people to digest, and you're making that experience of reading that email something that actually actions them into coming back to you. And I think that's the kind of difficult thing to achieve.
So another question. I know the answer because I've learned it, but in terms of sending the same email to the CEO and the head of sales and the head of marketing, why is that right, or why is it wrong?
Do that because they care about different things. They all care about different things. And you're not selling. Yeah, you can do that, right? So if you're going to sell them the features and benefits and batter them with what your product does, we actually probably send the same email,
Newbie stuff,
same response. But if you're selling them the benefits, like the benefits to the CMO is not the same benefits to the CEO, and they care about different things. So you're just gonna go down in a hail of block spam. You just landed in a junk mail.
Of course. And this is the thing, though. This is the thing. So when we started, like in terms of my role when I started in sales, I didn't know that. I didn't know that different ICPs had different responsibilities. Well, in context, yes, but like the details of it, I was never aware. Like, I have a webinar, you should buy it. It has 100 qualified leads. It's going to help you grow your business. But then when I started to operate a business and run a business and understand that my priorities were different from Antoine's priorities were different from Dan's in our business. Dan's was different from Mohit's. Everybody's role is different. And I think that's another thing that people have to focus on is the right message goes to the right person at the right time. And that's how you convert opportunities.
That's awesome. No, it's completely valid point. And I think, what, on the back of that, I think we should do an episode in the not too distant future where we look at tactics for how you can personalize the emails. What sort of research do you do? Because that's something that blew my mind. I was looking at LinkedIn profiles, and these guys haven't posted in the last 3 years, and they've got an interest of Bill Gates and their education. They went to university 15 years ago, and the last time they posted was they shared their company post 2 years ago. How do you do research on that? How do I personalize that? Yeah, there are ways. Yeah. There's ways, but it's not obvious. Yeah. So I think we should do a session where we talk about all sorts of things as well.
But that's why I think as well, it leads into, and I've done some coaching with people on this, is it's not always that the personalization is the be all and end all of the outreach. How relevant is that email to that person is what matters. So where we were just talking about personas, what's relevant for a CEO is not going to necessarily be relevant for a CSO or a CMO or a CIO. And that then comes down to the relevance. I'm sending you this email or this message because in your role, it's likely that you are experiencing some of these issues. And if you are, then this is something potentially that we can help you with. Would it make sense for a discussion? However you want to frame your email, it has to be around a problem that person is having. And where so many people go wrong, irrespective of email outreach, phone outreach, doesn't matter. It's getting in touch with somebody and then not even kind of poking on that relevancy, right? It's just very generic. It's just hoping you might have an interest in what I have to say. And that's what's leading people to say that this specific outreach is dead, because people just don't know how to use it effectively to get the attention of the person that they're really trying to speak with.
So cold email is not dead. Cold calling is not dead. You're just shit at writing cold emails and you're shit at making cold calls. So don't down it.
That's exactly it, right? I've come from a contact center sales role, right? And that industry is adamant that inbound calls from customers is dead. Voice channel is dead because everybody wants to move to chatbot and AI and it's all about, but that's all about cost. It's not about being bad at it. It's about cost. And those people are saying the same thing. They said the same thing 30 years ago. news. Voice is still here. That's why cold calling is still a thing, because humans create that human contact. So that's absolutely not going to go away. And all of that's something that we can take away from the show, Antoine. I love that point at the end that you've made there. I think that's really useful. And I think we'll do a bit more of a dive into that. One thing I'd like to kind of leave the show with as a thought is anybody that says that they don't need to use AI to do their job, or that thinks that AI is going to go away, right? First of all, go and read some of the books by Justin Michael, because he called this in 2018. He said salespeople were going to end up having to be part Borg, right? That might be a bit of an exaggeration. I get what he meant. That's that mentality, but you do need to be able to use generative AI to do your job in the next 2-3 years. Point in fact is, I've seen the job advertised for $300,000 a year for a prompt engineer for a big tech company. Prompt engineer. He writes prompts for ChatGPT. End of.
So what's the job though? So because aren't some of them just writing responses and getting the answers, and they're getting paid a ton of money for it? Or is the prompt engineer something a little bit different?
It's basically bringing somebody in to optimize how the language that they put into ChatGPT-3 to give them the responses they're looking for. So it's like you're paying somebody to find the best way of asking questions or asking something or an action of ChatGPT-3, and they're going to get paid £300,000 for that. So you build a playbook of prompts for that organization.
If you're not a millionaire in 5 years, you're a muppet.
Sure enough. I'm going to get one of these guys on the show, because I want to talk to. I'm going to bring a guest on the show to talk to this. But honestly, like, you shake your head at this, like it's, this is not. We're not playing about here. This is not. I'm going to spend half an hour on ChatGPT and get a bit better. The way some of these guys' mind works is totally wired different to how my brain works, and it's amazing to see how they're going to do it. Have that combined with the sales knowledge is going to be key for the future. So you better believe you need to put the time in doing that. But it is not the all and end all.
To become the Terminator.
I'll be back.
All right, cool. Excellent. Great show today.
Awesome. Yeah, good to catch up with that. Great to have you on your first show, Antoine.